space behind me. Well, that's where the Nissan lives, and it's gone off to get some work done on the gearbox, believe it or not. The other day I was driving it, and it was in I suppose you'd call it limp mode, in that it would change quickly up into third gear and then just stay there. It wouldn't change into fourth or fifth after that, which meant that at 80 kilometers an hour it was about 3,000 RPM, and that meant that you couldn't really go too much faster without roaring along, you know, with the engine screaming, and that's not ideal. Anyway, I took it off to Eric at BCV Mechanical in Beaudesert, and he said there's some issue with the gearbox, and he's got a mate up the road who's an auto trans specialist, because you really need those kinds of people. And it was diagnosed something to do with some frame or something. I'll see if I can find out exactly what it is, and I'll chuck it up here for you. Anyway, what that means is I'm carless, because absurdly, despite the fact that I have a number of cars, and I'll show you one which of course you're familiar with, this one down here. This is now deregistered because we've got it on the market for sale. This one up here bear with me, we're almost there. It's just I'm a little slower than I used to be. It's all right for you young ones. That dog's telling me to hurry up, can you hear him? This one, while registered, is in the middle of that very long service that I'm doing to it, and was delayed by knee surgery. This one over here, under a blanket, and that's the BMW, so I'll show you that. It's got an issue with the ignition switch, and I'll get to it in time. And then my bus. Which is not on the road. In fact, it's never been on the road since I got it. It's a little bit of work done to it, but it's basically just sat here for the last 3 years. Anyway, so I'm carless, and while I did borrow and have borrowed my reluctant assistant's car, she's off at work today, so we're having a day around the yard. And what I have done is tried an experiment with a time lapse, and I'll show you that a little later on. But what I did want to talk about was Millie, because I did a Millie update the other day, and said to you that she'd had that operation where they put a plate. I showed you the x-ray of that, where they put a plate in her leg to hold her ankle rigid, and they were fusing the bones. Now that's a long process of months, in fact, you know, for the bones to fuse properly. But of course, like everything, when you strengthen or support one part of any structure, including a leg, whether it's your leg or a dog's leg, then the load is going to be felt somewhere else. And so now the poor love has actually fractured metatarsal bones, and if you're not sure what they are, well, welcome to the club. But I can tell you that they're actually the long toe or foot bones, which in you or I, when our foot is flat on the ground, you know, run from our ankle to our toe. But in a dog, of course, they're kind of in that bend, you know, where their pad is, if you know what I mean. And I'll show you a picture of those so you can see. So now the poor love has to get another procedure to put some, what they call pins, in her metatarsal bones I'm not exactly sure how that works, but I suppose we'll see an x-ray when it's done. But whether they insert a pin into one end of the bone and then into the other end, and that supports the bone or not, I don't know while it fuses, because the issue, of course, is that if we just allow the fracture to heal and then use a cast or a splint of some sort to hold it, that the moment that you take off the cast or the splint, it'll fracture again, because it's going to be the same stress in the same place on a now weakened, knitted bone, you know, so pins are the answer. Anyway, look, I've done that time lapse because I just wanted to mess around and do something, but I ended up here at this wood pile, and this wood pile is basically just branches and things we've picked up. There's a few more around the yard to pick up. But I saw a couple of parrots come out of here the other day, so I'm not sure whether parrots have actually set up a nest in here, in which case, you know, there could be some chicks. You've seen those plover chicks, but maybe parrot chicks somewhere in here. I just don't know. Maybe we'll set up a camera. But I've also seen lizards go in here too, so before we light this up, we're going to make good and sure that we're not going to be cremating anything. That dog you can hear is Chloe. You've met her before. Let's go and talk to her. Good girl. She's a bit nervous. A bit silly Billy. Beautiful dog. Bit nervous of me though. Anyway, look, it's just a quick short video. I'll upload this to give you a bit of an update on Millie and to lament my carlessness state, but also to show you quickly that it's not going to be very long, because it's a tedious process, I'll tell you, and I'll tell you how I did it. Basically, I took a series of stills rather than let the camera do the work. I just took a series of stills and moved the camera about a metre or so at a time. So let's see how she looks. Thanks for watching.